So what is a method? Which is going to be a set of instruction for our application business logic. Okay. So I was giving an example about your bank interest rate calculation, right? In that we pass like a male and female gender and then your age. Okay. So it depends on that. I'm going to calculate your interest rate. Okay. If it is female, the interest rate will be more. And if it is your age is more like kind of a senior or anything, maybe 60 plus or something, then interest rate will be 7.5 or something, right? So both those things we are going to pass within the particular method as a parameter and then use it for our calculation. And the method declaration syntax is like this, right? Access specifier will be there, return type will be there. So return type could be anything, but void means we are not going to return anything, right? So whatever we discussed in the data type, that will come here as a return type. Even object also can come. That we'll see here with an example. I mean, it's not an example, like whatever we are going to do programming, everything will be like kind of an object only, right? Maybe sometimes we'll use this primitive data type. Okay. And then method name, as I said, like the first letter has to be a small letter. And then the second word kind of thing it is coming could be a camel case capital letter. Okay. So these are the rules. Okay. But it doesn't matter, right? You can do whatever you want, but in IT industry, you have to follow some of the naming convention and procedure. Otherwise, they will say like you don't know anything on core Java, right? So that is what you have to understand it. So there is a rules. It is like kind of a discipline. That's it. Okay. So here we have seen about the access specifier again. So what is a public? This and all we will see with examples. Okay. So because when we get into the example and then comment the code and then do it, then you will come to know exactly what does this particular access specifier does. Okay. So public, we discussed about it. It's about accessible by all the classes. Private, it is only within the particular class. Protected within the same package in the sense what? Your folder, right? So within the package and sub package. Default is visible only within the same package. And method name, it has to be unique. You should not duplicate the same name. For example, you are adding a sum or interest calculation. You cannot do like interest calculation. It has to be interest calculation for savings, for checking, something like that. Okay. And then the method body has to be opening with and closing with the curled brace. Okay. Even if you have a one line statement, better to have curled braces. Okay. So if you have one line statement without curled brace, we can do it, but better to have curled brace so that you will have a formatted code. And then after 1 year, if you refer to the code also, you will be able to understand. If there is no bracket or something, then it will be difficult for the other developer to understand it. Okay. So here we are going to do deep dive into it. Okay. So for using a method, it should be called. Okay. So if you define it, doesn't matter, right? It will be unused unless you call. So the method has to be called using your object name. So we saw something dot operator, right? So the dot operator, using the dot operator, how will get it? When you create a class, object name equal to new class. So with that object name, I am going to call the particular method, right? So when you call it, it is going to call the particular method and it is going to pass our parameters. And if you have return type, it is going to return the result set to our object, and object will capture and then do whatever you want, right? If you have a method return type, it is going to return. If not, it is going to calculate and then stay there in a, put it in a variable or an object. Okay. So data operator also we have seen. So data operator is what? For what? If it is a static, directly using a class name, you can call. Okay, if it is static. If it is non-static, then you have to create an object and call the particular method. Okay. So the process of method calling is very simple. As using the dot operator, we call the particular method. Depends on the scope and everything. Okay. The return statement will be executed and reaches the method ending closing braces. right? When the closing brace is opening and closing, within that we will do it, right? So the method returning void is considered as call to a statement. Okay, so for example here, the sum is the function we are going to call, pass that, because this is within a particular class. This example, whatever we are doing, it is within a particular class. If it is outside of class, we have to create an object and call. If it is within the class, you don't need to use the object and call the particular method. If it is within the class, no need to use object. Okay, so here this is a simple example, right? Defining and calling a method. So this is my class example min number, right? And then this is the what do you call, entry point for Java application. That is the reason we are not creating an object for this main method. So I have two variable, integer a and b, and c I am calling because this is within this particular method. So I am calling min function and passing my parameter, two parameter. So the parameter, we don't have any limit at all, right? Whether we can pass one or any, right? Or even zero also, right? And then passing it, and then it is, see, you can see this curl brace. This curl brace is closed. Outside that, this method is defined, right? So it is local to this example min number class. Okay, so that is the reason we are not calling with a particular object. And here we are having public static int, right? And then passing this variable name also, variable name with what is the data type, right? And here I am declaring a, what is this variable about? Int min. But again, I am passing here, right? What will happen here? So we pass this with the data type. Okay, without data type, it won't recognize it. Okay, so you pass it. So if I access this int min outside of this main, inside the main, what will happen? It won't have access to this particular value because it is local to this main function. Okay, so here again, this operator we have not seen, right? That we'll see in the upcoming session. So we are passing this 11 is greater than 6, true or false, right? This condition we have not seen. That is an operator that we'll see maybe in few minutes. Okay, so greater than, so whether it can return true or false. If it is true, it is going to assign n2 to minimum, else it is going to assign n1 to minimum. Okay, so whatever minimum has been assigned, whether this condition or that condition, we are going to return to this particular integer. So see here, we are having the minimum is integer, and whatever we are returning, it has to be the same. Okay, so you cannot say like here it is int and the returning data type is float. Okay, but other way around, that is okay. Okay, it's like similar to whatever we discussed about widening, right? So returning has, the whatever the return type, it has to be higher number, right? Whatever we are really doing the business logic and returning, it can be lower number. That doesn't matter, right? But if it is the other way around, we will lose the value as similar to narrowing. Okay. If the return type is int and the value we are passing is float, we will lose the value. Okay. Better have the same data type only always. Okay. In case if you do mistake, ensure like whatever returning is should be higher. But normally we will not do, just keep in mind. Right? Min is declared here. But I am trying to access outside of the particular method. So I don't have access. Okay. So that is one you have to understand. And remove the static, whether it makes sense or not. See here, I'm directly calling, even with class or without class, I can call. Okay. So, but here, what it is telling, cannot make a static reference to the non-static method. Right? So you have to make sure like you are having proceeding with static keyword. Okay, because I'm not creating a class object and then creating it. So it has to be static. What else? Try with removing integer. So what is the error? So syntax error. So we have to pass the parameter. Okay, what is the data type? Okay, and here you try to see again maybe with what I can say like kind of a float. Okay, but will not get any error, but still try. So what is this? So I have to pass everything as float. Okay. So do all these experiments. Cannot convert from float to int. Okay, try to convert it. Add cast to int. So you can cast and then you will get. But only thing is you may lose the value because I am narrowing it. Okay, so for example, what I'm going to do, where is the float value? Float value I have not given. Okay. Instead of that, I will take long value. See, you can see here, it is out of range. Okay. So instead of that, what I'm going to do, long. This also out of range. Okay, and then I am going to return it. So what is going to happen here? See what is happening. Some junk value is coming. Okay. Is it understandable? What is the mistake we are doing here? We are narrowing it. Okay. Whatever the business logic we are doing, it is long, but returning is integer. Okay. Even if I pass as long, this also will become a problem because the value I have given is very high, right? When you sum it up, it will be double, right? So it won't have hold that particular value. Maybe in the way we can declare maybe double if you do, maybe it may hold the value. For example, like instead of int, you make it as double. Okay. Not sure about the range of double. So if I try to do it, let's see. I have not done this just for your purpose. Don't know whether it will work or not. It may work. I don't know. We have to sum it up and then check. Right. So take this particular value and then invalid input. Always do. Just check whether the value is okay or not. No, it's not okay. Okay, so maybe it has to be big int or something. So one more data type is there. Big int. Not sure whether we have used it. I will tell you, like, I have never used it. Big integer. That maybe I'll tell you later. So one more value will be there. But these kind of data types and all, we will not use it, but ensure like what we have done today. Okay. So if you do an experiment like this, then exactly you will come to know like what is this particular Java code does and all. Okay. So otherwise, without doing hands-on, then it will be tough to understand what are we doing. Okay. Okay, then let us get into the scope, right? So what is a scope? Example is about your local variable, right? So scope is nothing but, as I said, if you are in a flat, right? I mean, you want to access the internet. The internet, even though that meters and all is there, 10 meter or something within your boundary, right? Even in your house itself, if you move out of one hall or one room, maybe 15 meters away, then you will not have access. That is the scope, right? Or otherwise, you lock your flat. Okay, from your friend flat, whether you will have access to your particular TV or any of your room, no, right? Because it is out of scope, right? So within your room, you can call your friend from other room. So that is because within your same flat, you are calling it and you have the scope. Okay, that is called a scope. So here depends on your package, then subclass, and then the access specifier, right? These are something about your access specifier. If it is public, I can access anywhere, right? Within a package, within subclass, or anywhere outside the world also. So outside the world in the sense, like if you are having a web portal, right? So anybody can access. For example, like you are getting into an IRCTC site and then trying to book a ticket, right? Anywhere in the world, if your ID is registered, you will be able to access it. Within your ID, you'll be able to access only once you log in only, you will know like what is your transaction, what is your booking failed, success, upcoming, past, all those things you can see. You cannot see in a general login or whatever, right? You log in with the Lokesh and then try to find out Sophia's booking. It's not possible, right? So that is again like kind of a protected, right? So within your package and sub package, not with the whole, I mean, entire world, right? And then default modifier is there only for package, not with the subclass. So what is a subclass? It's about, we are talking about child one, parent, child one, child two. That is called a subclass, right? Private means today also we have seen within a package, within a subclass, within a world. It is only with your particular method, right? So min is the method. Within that, we are sorry, min is a variable which is a local to the particular method. That is within a scope of your local method. Okay, so these are things you have to understand while writing a coding. By default, we will use public and private only normally in IT industry, right? Mostly we'll use private and public, never used protected and all. Okay, so if it is a local variable, then use it with private keyword. Otherwise, use public. Okay, and we have a lot of restrictions are there in IT industry. You'll be having security and everything. So the modifier is specific to your encapsulation, right? So using this keyword also, you can reduce your scope or access to the particular class or particular object or sub package or subclass. Okay, is it clear right now? But you have to do the coding and then change the access specifier and then check. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand clearly. Okay. So we'll go to the next one. So obviously scope, all variables are defined inside a class or member variables. So integer A is there, then private, simple example, right? So private string is there, void method and everything. So we can declare class variable anywhere in a class, but outside of the method. Okay. Access specified of member variable does not affect scope of them within a class. Member variable can be accessed outside a class with the following rules. What are those rules? So local variable. Variable declared inside a method have method level scope. Can't be accessed outside the method. So that example we saw, right? So the method level scope within the method only this particular local variable can access. Outside of this method, if you go to test method or outside of test method, you will not have access to this in-text variable. Okay, so this is about your another example, right? Here is another example of method scope, except this and the variable got passed in as a parameter to the method. So in text is there, though it is private, we are passing into a parameter. So that will have value here. So when you pass that value, it will be assigned. Okay. So, but if you try to access this particular variable without passing it, then you will not have access. Okay. And we are trying to use this keyword. So what I am doing, static int x is here, private int y equal to 33. And then we are passing this int x as a parameter. Okay. And then creating a local variable scope object. Within that, I am trying to set a value to my instance variable. Okay. And then I am reassigning the value for this particular variable. Okay. Even though it is private, because it will be local to this particular class. Okay. And then trying to print. So local variable dot x, what is happening? Using the object, I am trying to print x, right? So because it is going to take the newly assigned value instead of the static value. So here it is getting printed as 22 instead of 11. Okay. And then t dot x, that is about your instance variable. So what is going to happen? Again, it is going to take this value, right? And then t dot y. So that is going to take outside the value. So this local variable is not going to take it. It is going to take the outside the value. Okay. And when you print just y without object, then it is going to take your local value. Okay. And here you do all the calculations and everything. You call this object and try to call this particular method, and directly you are trying to print the value by passing some number. Okay, any confusion here? Just go through this code. What is happening step by step? When you use the instance, it is going to access your instance value. Without instance variable, if you're directly calling, it is going to print your local value. Okay, that is what you have to understand. Okay, so the other one, it's about block scope. Okay, so when we say like the curled brace, right? So it is called set of block. Okay, so why we call as a block, right? So if I have more than one statement, as I said, like when you have a method or whatever, right? So it has to be declared using opening curled brace and closing curled brace. That is a standard in IT industry, so that you understand where the program starts, where the program ends. If we have multiple loop, right? In some condition, if complex business logic is there, like for example, when you talk about interest rate calculation, right? I will have multiple conditions, right? So take India, right? In India, one state will differ from other state, right? One state will have different rules. Like Andhra will have female age itself. They will filter, and then they will say like if you are a major, minor, senior, they will have some interest calculation. If it is Tamil Nadu, they will have some calculation. If it is Karnataka, they will have some calculation. In that case, three countries you have to code differently. So if you don't have the curled brace, right, it will be very cumbersome to understand which code is coming for which state, within that particular state, whether it is female or male, within that female, whether it is what is the age bar limit and all. So it will be complex. For that purpose only, we are using this curled brace. Okay, so the variable x has scope within the brackets. So within here, we'll get it. Outside of it, you will not have access. Okay. So it prints here, but outside of it, if you try to print, it will not print. It will throw an error. So try to do it. Okay. But maybe this code will not compile because you are doing to print it. Maybe what you have to do, you have to comment it and then see, and then uncomment it and then see. That way you have to do. Okay. Okay. So what are the important points? You have to use the curled brace. Okay. In Java, we can usually access a variable as long as it was defined within the same set of brackets as the code we are writing or within a curled brace instead of curled brace where the variable were defined. Any variable defined in a class outside of any method can be used by all member methods. So we'll call it as a member methods. Member method in the sense we are going to create an object, or if it is a static, directly you can access it, or using a class also we can access it. Okay. Try to understand if it is static, you can directly access, or you can use the class name and you can access. Otherwise, you can create an object and then access it. Okay. So when a method has a local variable as a member, this keyword can be used to reference the current class variable. Okay. So in a local variable, you can assign the value through this keyword. So we have seen that example here. Sorry. Instead of going up, I'm going down. So here, this keyword we have used, okay, to set the value, this dot x. We are trying to override that value here using our local variable. Okay, so local variable scope dot x and then redefining it for the static value. So in that case, what will happen to your memory? So this value will override. Okay, 11, it will have only one memory. So you will never get this 11 value at all. It will get 22 value only. Okay, that is the importance. But if you are having some other, like you remove y, private, and then change the value of y, then you will have multiple scope. So outside of this particular method, you will have 33. Inside this particular method, you will have 44. So that is how we are seeing here also. Okay. Okay. So right now, understanding the static keyword, which is very important, and we use this, right? Normally, we'll use this static keyword and all. So the role of static keyword before entity is to make the entity classes entity. Okay. So it means adding static before method, variable, and make them class methods, class variables respectively, instead of instance method and instance variable. So instead of creating an object, I can call directly using your class itself. And it is a class method and class variable, not instance method and instance variable. So instance is about your object. Class is about your main class, not your object. So without creating an object, I am going to access the static data member, static member. Okay. So that is the importance, right? That is the reason we will go for static keyword. Okay. So main is a static method. We are not creating any object to access your main method. Automatically, Java JVM is taking over. How do you define? With the keyword static to a particular function or to a particular variable. I can access static data member without creating an object. I can use directly or using a class. Okay. So for example, here I have a static method, static void function, right? So I'm just calling directly using my class and not creating an object and then calling it. Okay, if the scope is there, then I can directly call this function within CFG itself. If it is outside of CFG, I have to call this particular class name and then function. Okay. So as I said, I mean, without getting into this, we have seen this static main method. When the static keyword is added in the function of main method, then it is known as main static. Need of static in main method. Main is the entry point in Java application, right? Hence, making the main method static is mandatory to the following reason. This might be a interview question. Okay. Main method is the entry point of the application. Hence, making the main method a static is mandatory. Okay. This will be entry question. Why you are having a main method, right? And why are you not creating an object to call a main method? Because it is the entry point of Java application. That is the reason the main method is defined with a static. You try to remove the static keyword, your class is going to the Java JVM is going to throw error. Okay, that is the reason we are having this. So this is about your naming convention, how you have to define it. Like I told you, string comparison, you see camel case, right? S is small, comparison C is capital letter, area of circle. So O is capital letter, C is capital letter. If it is a single word, it is small letter. Okay. There is no rule or something, like it is depends on your organization. Okay, but this is the best practice we follow in IT industry. Okay. So what are the types of methods? So there are two defined methods. One is predefined method, other one is user defined method. So what is a predefined method? For example, like you have a class. So we have not that seen those kind of methods. Maybe down the line we'll see, like for example, you create an array, right? So array will have own methods, like you want to sort it out with the list of array, right? Then Java itself has defined predefined methods. You pass the list of integer and then try to sort it out, right? Then it will you will be passing the values to the particular method and then sort the value. So that and all we call it as a predefined. So whatever we have seen is user defined. So user defined means what? We are the user. We are defining our own method. For example, interest calculation. We are defining it. Sorting of list of an array. We are not defining it. You are passing only the parameter. The Java is taking care. Okay. And you are doing a comparison. Then predefined method is there. How do you compare it? Okay. So if it is defined by Java, then it is a predefined. If you are defining it, but we have not seen any predefined method, whatever we have seen is user defined. When we get into collections, we will see what are the predefined methods. Okay. Not sure like whether we have seen any of the predefined method. All these are user defined. Without knowing, no, I don't think like we have seen any of the predefined methods. Maybe you can say like this main method is a predefined method. Okay, you can't touch and then change this keyword of main to main 1, main to main 3. Okay. So what is a predefined method? Okay, so for example, like length, dot length, right? So this math dot max of 9,7, right? So math is a package. Within that package, I have a predefined method. Java define this method maximum. In that, I can pass two values and then find out of these two, which one is bigger, right? So that is predefined. You cannot say like max 1, max 2 and all. So then in that case, you have to define, override that particular method, and then you have to do calculation and all. If it is predefined, it will have some, list of parameters it will accept. You cannot say like you call predefined method and then pass one value for max. Max will have like predefined logic, right? You assign two values, then find out the max. You pass one value, how will you find out the max? Okay, so that you have to, when you click on it and then you see like what is going to happen. See, for example, like maybe I can say math dot. See, all are predefined method. Okay. I'm not going to do anything. I am telling like anything, whatever you want to do. Okay. So lot of methods are there. Whatever you want to do, you can take it. For example, minimum of integer, right? So already it has defined. So I'm going to say like 56 and then 5. Okay. Minimum out of 2, right? And then call it. So 56 or 5, what is minimum? 5 is minimum. Okay. So can I say like math dot min of 1, one of the parameter, then it is going to throw error. Okay. So it is defining it. The method min in the type math is not applicable for the argument to one integer 1, right? So you have to understand it, what it does. And then you can see like, see, if you click on it, right? Control, right? So control, you press control, then you go to your method declaration. Okay, so this is taking you to our class, what it has written. It is going to your package. Okay, it is going to your package. You can see here. So it is taking you to your math package, and you can see like all the methods. Okay, so in training also we'll not be able to provide you each and everything, because I mean, even if you are at 10 years you are learning it, you will not learn. So this way you have to do kind of, whenever in IT industry you want to do it, you have to do it, you have to learn from your own. Okay, so whatever I mean technology you are going to learn, it will be part of it. Maybe I can say like 5 to 20% you will learn. So more than 20% it comes from the experience. Okay, so these and all I have never used it, but try to know, right? I mean, whatever it is there, you can do it. Okay, just click on this and then do it. You will learn how many methods are there, and they have given all the description. How many parameter we are passing, what it is doing. So these and all similar to ours, they have coded it. Right? All these source files has been converted into your class file. Right? So you don't have access to the source file. If you have access to the source file, you can change it. Okay, then in that case, you have to bind again as a class file, and then you have to do it. That is what we are doing here. So similar to math.class, the example min number is also a class, right? So that is what we are doing here. So instead of that, if you pass min1, right? And then I am trying to pass 34, 25 and all, then I have to remove my math. Then it will say, what it will say, create your own method. Okay. So similar to our min, for having two values, I have created my own. That's all. Automatically, the system takes care. I have to write my business logic here. So I have to copy paste this and then do it, whatever I mean calculation I have to do. Right. What I will do here, then I will do here. So how do I calculate this number? I have to pass maybe uncondition, and I have to do something like this. Like instead of I is greater than J and I is greater than K, then minimum equal to I. That is the business logic. What is the error again? add a return type. So what I have to do, I have to return minimum. That's all. But I have not returned anything here. Even I have returning some value here, but I have not returned. So what I have to do, change my return type to, sorry, here integer is not there. So here I am returning int, but I have not initialized it. Initialize it. So simple, right? I try to do it. So normally this is what we are going to do. Okay. So here condition is not satisfied. So it is returning whatever I have initialized.